Zoom side, confirm you can hear me. Gifford, can you hear us? Angela?
Yes, I can hear you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, welcome everyone. This is the March General Meeting of the East Hillsborough Democratic Club, and I am your president, Reed Morgan. We have other board members here today. We've got Emmett Woolhall, who's our Sergeant at Arms and on the board. Okay, we have Regina Richter, who is a Region 5 co-director. And we've got our treasurer, Walt Seeley, and his wife, Catherine. He is our treasurer, and we'll be voting for that later in the meeting. And I forgot the darn written ballots. So, okay, Janet is our secretary. She is not up for re-election, nor am I. We were last year. We have Vicki Lowry in the back. She is our board membership. And then we have our vice president, who is Chris Radelich. He is up for re-election today. Wife, who is also our board member and the assistant treasurer. And we have Mary, and I keep calling you Kennedy, and I know it's not Kennedy. I don't know why I keep calling you Kennedy all these years. So, yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, then would ask you for a bigger donation, but oh well. Same way I'm a Morgan, but I'm not the JP. I'm not the JP branch. I'm the poor coal miner branch from Pennsylvania. So anyhow, so the first thing, of course, we're going to do is stand up and have a pledge to our flag. And unless Chris has something, oh, there we go. You've actually got one. Okay, Janet, you want to stand up front of the flag? So we don't have to circle. There. Good. Somebody start. Pledge allegiance to the flag, States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. The other side's not the only one that gets to wave the flag. They just think it's theirs. Okay. Yeah, so. All right, we also have a traditional moment of silence. There is always in this last, oh God, I guess since 2015, a lot of things we can always use for a moment of silence. But of course, right now, the main things are what's going on in Gaza and of course, what's going on in our own country right now, and very openly fascistic, dictatorship friendly stuff that's going on right now. It's got me very concerned, and I've been concerned for a long time. So we got a lot to have a moment of silence and think about, because this is going to be one heck of a year. And I'm glad to see a lot of people are here, because we really got to bust our butts this year. Absolutely, positively. Okay. Give us our moment of silence now. Okay, thank you very much. So welcome, everyone. And thank you to our Zoom callers, Angela and Gifford. And we were supposed to have Stanley Campbell as a candidate for the U.S. Senate here in Florida. He came in unannounced to Regina Richter's Region 5 hybrid meeting. When was that? November? And I thought, we thought he was serious because he actually had Stanley Campbell for Senate hats, and I've got one. I'll take a free hat from anybody, because if you can see, I need to keep the sun off my head. So I thought he was for real. I offered him the speaking slot here in March. And since then, I've been given his number, been given his email address, and I text, I call, I email, no response. So there is providence in the world. And providence today comes in two forms. Regina is going to work with us later and start to give us a tutorial in phone banking, which we will hopefully in the future do for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes in future meetings, because we need all the help we can get. So later today, she's going to help us start to learn how to do that. And if you have a tablet or a laptop, which it was very last minute today, this has been the kind of day it's been. We asked anybody to bring it in if they had it to bring in. If not, like I said, we're just going through a tutorial so we can start in the future, make at least a portion of our meetings, partially a work session. But the other providence today was Mr. George Neiman, who called me and got my name and number and actually knew something in my background. And there's a situation here in his area in the county involving a closed phosphate mine that had a permit issued back in 2010, of which Mariella Smith was aware of. And he's talked to Mariella recently and going over this ancient history. And that was for 2 renewable energy facilities. I'm just briefly summarizing. Only now it's come back under the current BOCC, which is no longer majority Dem. And of course, they're trying to develop it, not in accordance with a permit, but you name it, and they want to do it. And it's not currently permitted. Commercial, residential, industrial, who knows? And it sounds like it is not kosher. And George now is going to introduce himself and basically an introductory session on his situation, bring us up to date, and see where, with our various hats on, how we can help him basically stop this in its tracks, because it's moving and it's moving quickly.
Good evening, everyone. My name is George Neiman. My wife, Yvette, is joining me. She's, can you hear me now? No? Is it on? You can, okay, I'll try and speak loud then. My name is George Neiman. My wife, Yvette Neiman, is with me here. We live in East Hillsborough off of Dover Road in Dover Woods. That's the subdivision. And in 2010, we're here 21 years. In 2010, you had the former Sydney phosphate mine, which was shut down in the 60s, but they continued to dump waste. And you had the phosphate contamination. There is a pit in the 3,000-acre Sydney mine, which is being monitored. Every 5 years, they have to test it. But there's real contamination there. So they've wanted to put homes in there, and the county has always rejected those requests. But then in 2010, the owners said, let's we'll build 2 renewable clean energy sources. And if you let us do that somewhere on the 3,000 acres, you'll let us build a lot of commercial, industrial, warehouses, you name it, everything else. Once we build the 2 renewable energies, the county loved the idea. They approved it, but they said you must build the 2 renewable energies first, because we'd like to get renewable energy before you build all of this other stuff. 14 years, they built nothing. All of a sudden, they come forward now. The first request was filed in 2023, and it's named CPA 23-15, and they want to change the plan. The second one was done in January of this year, and that has the title CPA 23-06. And when no, those are requests to change the comprehensive plan. That's where the rules are, which govern this energy park. They call it the Energy Industrial Park, and we nicknamed it EIP. So when they filed these requests, the first one is to skip doing the energy. And they're asking to let them build everything else first: industrial, commercial, retail, all along the northern portion, which would be State Road 60 from Dover Road to Turkey Creek Road. And that's the northern portion, the northern half. But the park goes all the way down from State Road 60 all the way down to Durant Road. And it's bordered by Dover Road on the western portion and Turkey Creek Road on the eastern portion. If you look at that box, actually, Chris, I sent you an email with a JPEG. I don't know whether I was successful with it, but I tried sending it. All right. Well, anyway, just to give you that idea, it's a big square along from 60 all the way down to Durant Road with Turkey Creek on the eastern side and Dover Road on the western side. Okay. And we are at the southern border. We have homes in Dover Woods that border the very southern part. So the second request, which just issued, which is CPA 2406, that one is asking to put residential homes or put residential dwellings in what was supposed to be reserved for this clean energy stuff. So now they're asking to put residential in there. I don't know where they think they're going to put any energy, if there's any space left, but they're asking to put up to 1,800 dwellings, could be apartments, it could be co-ops or whatever, on what is a former phosphate mine, in addition to the mixed use along with residential. They may decide to put retail, office space, in addition to daycare centers. And we cringe when we think of putting, you're going to send your kids to a daycare center on a former phosphate mine, which has contamination nearby. So we were lucky enough to get a volunteer. He's an engineer that is an expert in toxic waste sites and remediation of toxic waste. So he agreed to look at all the records for the Sydney mine toxic site. And he wrote us some questions that he said, you better get the county involved because there are what we call emerging contaminants. Emerging contaminants are things that we didn't know about being dangerous years ago, especially when this mine stopped operation. They knew of some contaminants, but they didn't know of all the contaminants that are present today and they find are poison for us. So he identified this contaminant, which he called an emerging contaminant, and he said it's called dioxane. Dioxane is highly toxic. And he said they do testing periodically. They did a test in January of 2023, and they drilled down into the soil, and they drill down 100 feet, 500 feet. When they get into the aquifer, they found high levels of the contaminant dioxane in what they call the uncontrollable portions of the aquifer, which he explained to us is very dangerous because in those deep levels, that's where our drinking water comes from. And at those levels, it's miles of aquifer where if you discover something, you have no way of saying, we're going to fix it. So, and I'm not a techie, but he gave me some numbers and he said, in this test they did last year, they discovered 287 microorganisms per liter. And the federal EPA limit, they say, should be no more than 3. So he said the federal EPA had asked the owners of the EIP, the Energy Industrial Park, they said, you guys need to look at this. They didn't do it. So we write a letter. This is interesting. You'll appreciate this. We write a letter based on the analysis he gave us, and we submitted it to the Planning Commission and the County Commission. The County Commission will end up making a final decision on this. The Planning Commission just looks at the plan to see, well, would this sort of fit with the goals of the plan? If we let them change this and let them skip energy and do everything else. So we're saying, before you even evaluate this, you need to find out what this danger is. They're asking to put all these homes on there and workplaces with stores and everything else, people visiting. You need to check this, have them check this out. Someone's got to look at it before you even think to approve it. Guess what? No answer.
Now I have to update you.
Okay.
I promised George, I said, you're a lucky man. You happen to call the right people on the right day. We've got a speaker slot open. And besides being involved here, I'm also involved with the Democratic Environmental Caucus. And the president of the EHDC works from here about 5-10 minutes away. She is on her way here now. And I told you we'd get her here. Okay. She was here last month. She was also part of what we did at the Volunteer Empowerment Fair. I guess it would be 2 weeks or 3 weeks this Saturday. I'm losing track of time already. It was recently, which went off well. So yes, Vicky. Do you want the microphone? Let's do this right so they can hear you. Yeah. Well, is anybody on? Yeah, well. I need them. I never had them.
Tired of repeating 5 times? I hope you don't mind. They may have to ask you to repeat it 6 times.
What I was going to ask you is there is the Environmental Land Acquisition Program. That's a state. Okay. Florida's been doing that since 2000. Before 2000, when we all voted on preservation 2000, it was a big acquisition of land. That property you're talking about is full of mining holes, for one. It is nothing but a rock pit, lime rock hole. Has anybody ever gone across the street to Dover Trails and walked that area? Because the only way we were even able to, and that was over 30 years ago, we made that proposal for that piece of property. Originally, that piece of property across the street is supposed to become part of an ELAP program with trails that connect all the way to Alafaya River State Park. They go all the way to Little Manatee and they go through the big scrub. Where's that piece of project information that was already proposed and been supposed to be worked on for the ELAP project within that Dover piece of property?
Well, these are all things we have to put on a list of to-dos.
Yes.
And you see people here with history and all these pieces will be put together. We get the big picture of what happened, how we got to where we are, and then get around what's being attempted now and intervene in the process. And the people usually in the process are just like, huh, what, huh? And they approve stuff and it goes through.
Yeah.
So.
And let me just make a mention to you that I'm familiar with ELAP. Actually, I talked to Mariella a few days ago and I asked her, I said, I know this is far-fetched and ELAP is, the land is supposed to be pristine. And I was on the executive board for a little bit years ago in the Sierra Club. I'm a little bit familiar with it. Mariella said, George, I know what you're thinking. You want to save this land and just keep it and don't mess with it. But she said, one of the rules on ELAP is there would have to be another ELAP land. They want it to be contiguous. So she said, it doesn't seem like it's feasible. That's what I was thinking. I wish they could maybe make an exception. Now, the owner has to agree to sell it, which the owner probably won't, but I would say let's explore every opportunity before we start putting cookie cutter houses on land that's got contaminants. And
Make a big stink and make sure it slows down until we get all the facts and make sure everybody's making an informed decision. And if somebody's trying to do something that's not copacetic, make sure they take the political exposure and heat for it.
Right.
Usually they'll run and hide.
because, once they say yes to something, to try and change it later. In fact, the EIP owners held 2 community meetings. Now they're forced. They have to hold at least 2. There'll be another 2 coming up. But at the meeting, people kept raising their hand. It was a big turnout. It was in Mulrennan Middle School. And this turnout, people kept raising their hands saying, but isn't there contamination not only in that Superfund site, but we always heard stories how they just dumped wherever they wanted to. You have a site that's recognized, but how about the other stuff? And this guy kept saying flat out, there is no contamination. He said it like 6 times.
No.
We don't believe him.
One of the things that I was involved with Karen Mahalski, and I was up in Tallahassee, it'll be a year ago in April. It was what's called the Radioactive Roads Bill. And basically, you know who Mr. Mosaic wants to use their radioactive waste mountains to be sold at a profit to the Florida Department of Highways to pave our roads with them. And in the process, they'll make sure they sign away through just boilerplate clause, release the environmental liability for every ton of that radioactive stuff. And I'll get into what it is and put it on our roads. And they can, hey, see, not our problem. You bought it, you own it. Congratulations. Well, basically what all the phosphate mine tailings, and the Sierra Club professor was there when I was there a year ago, and he went through, it's a horror story. The first thing that comes off, the very first thing is radon gas. And there is a housing development on 39 just above, it's by Turkey Creek. You know exactly where it is. Where Turkey Creek and 39 intersect, there's a Dollar General, and then there's that development back there that's, and that is not being built because guess what? It's former phosphate mine territory, and there's radon gas everywhere. And radon is invisible. You won't know it, and it'll give you lung cancer. I'm from Pennsylvania, where there's a lot of granite, and I had a home that had to be radon remediated. It was just natural, just because it's granite. Down here, we don't have granite, but we got phosphate mine tailings. That's what comes off first. The decay products, well, the good news is the radioactive lead is tens of thousands of years away. We'll all be dead by then. But what comes up right away is the radon gas. And they want to smear this shit all over our roads and take the mountains in Hillsborough, Manatee, and Pasco and put them in every road everywhere in the state. So that's, I guess, good for our 3 counties. We'll make everybody else share the misery, but we're against that.
Let me mention this. It may have been about 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Mosaic has big facilities in Polk. So there are limits to how much waste they can stockpile. So they were running close to their limit. So they came to Hillsborough County and asked Hillsborough, can we bring some of that waste because we haven't reached the limit here? Bring it into Hillsborough. And they voted yes. And I said, how could these people do this? They let them bring the waste in. It's campaign dollars. It's campaign dollars. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And then we got more Republicans and they vote, no, it's everything. Just like your project. Nope, this shield out.
I am afraid with this board. I am afraid with this board. I can count on Pat Kemp. Pat Kemp is, she's turned out, but
Seat, and obviously it's not
Right.
now.
right?
Sean Shaw, he now is running for that seat. And Mark Nash.
Mark Nash. Well, I know Mark Nash. Mark Nash always fights with me, though. I'm glad he's not here. He'd be yelling at me. I know we're neutral. Yes, sir. Well, this is interesting. They brought in 2009, they brought in these guys. We called them the Wonder Boys from Fort Lauderdale. Young guys, they were great presenters. And they got up and they did a dog and pony show. And they said, now this is not to demean what they offered. They said, the clean energy we can produce is this. We would have tilapia ponds. We create these ponds. Now the ponds would have been right near my subdivision. So we didn't mind it because our residents said, okay, well, how much harm could tilapia ponds be? They would. Well, I don't know. Well, yeah. Well, they said that the tilapia, these ponds would grow algae. So they had machines that they said they didn't have them. They just said, we know that somewhere in Europe, in Greece, they have something like this. We could do it here. I think that's what they said, Greece.
No,
This is what?
Big boys were working on algae, the oil companies. You don't see those ads anymore. Oh, we're going to make energy out of algae. You don't see them anymore. They're gone. Where is that proven technology? If it's not proven technology, it ain't going to be financed. Now, that's where I come from. Wall Street, JP Morgan Chase, investment banker. If it isn't proven technology, you're not going to find the money to do it.
No.
The point is irrelevant because that was 2010 and this is now, and they're not even talking about doing any renewable energy. So that's almost really not pertinent because they're trying to do all this now without anything, whether it was feasible or not in 2010. And it's still not feasible today. That's what you told me. And that's what I'm telling you. I'm hearing you say.
They ran into the problem they faced was, and then they take the algae and there would be a plant next to it. They'd make biofuel out of it. Now, I don't know that process, but.
Brought a biodiesel facility over on 92 on the way into Lakeland. So I'm not an expert, but I sat there for several months and I know a little bit about like biodiesel. And what you're describing, I've not heard done anywhere in the US. So once again, we're back to the, it's not proven technology.
Yes. And the cost was, so they after they sold this idea, then they started, these guys from Fort Lauderdale went shopping to get venture capital. Took 2 years, and I stayed in touch with one of them, and I would talk to him just to find out what's happening with this. And after 2 years, they said they thought the price would be 500 million to start with, but they started pricing it, and they found, then they gave me a new price. They said, well, we're finding it could be 750 million. Then after 2 years, they said 950 million. And
right now, what I'm trying to tell you is getting off the path. You're in my old bailiwick, project feasibility, project advisors. I spent 3 years advising an Indonesian government how to build their first coal-fired power plant. You know, that was then, this is now. And all I'm saying is I'm hearing bullshit, more bullshit. I know what that is, and it's off the table. These guys are even talking about it now. So we really don't want to go down this path of renewable energy. The point is they're trying to do this now in contravention of the original permitting application. They're basically throwing out the window and starting from scratch. That's what we got to focus on. That's what I'm hearing you tell me. So I don't want to go down the path of renewable energy because they're not even pretending they're going to do that. So it's a moot point.
Yeah, but if we just abandon renewable energy, we're going to be stuck with.
Why would they be allowed to do it at all? That's the original carrot and stick. No carrot. Now they want to give us the stick with all this development. Why should we let them do that? They're violating the original permit.
See, my objection is at a higher level. What I've always complained to the commission is we have a long-range plan that was devised by very educated people, and they put together a plan, but we keep changing it over and over and over again to suit an applicant's business plan. Someone says, oh, I want to, your land is 4 per acre. I'd like to make it 10 per acre. Why should we let them do that? The plan says we can grow slowly and everybody gets a choice of urban, suburban, or rural, but we change the plan every year. They have 4 cycles. 4 times a year, they go through this change process, and all the changes are from private companies. They're not the county doesn't change the plan. All of these changes that we have to put up with and all the density increases that don't belong there, those are just people that want to make some money out of it.
George, we're giving you a half an hour now, basically.
Okay. Well, maybe they'll stay late. Did you bring it, John? No? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, but
I'm
just saying we
sorry.
also got- we still have a regular meeting.
Know what it is that you want.
Well, this is what we like. And
I don't know what your proposal is. Was it windmill, solar farm, or what?
That's right.
Conservative for 26 years.
We're getting off the path. He wants to stop the development. Forget the renewable energy. He wants to stop the development of land and warehouses and industrial on a contaminated Superfund
What the
site.
alternative was to build.
But if you stick to the plan, if you say whether they can do it or not, if you say the plan is 2 sources, go and do it. Otherwise, sell a property. That's what I tell a county. And I think that's the best we can do at this point, because otherwise they'll just say, you know what, let's be nice to them. Let's let them build whatever they want. And we'll be stuck with the results with thousands of car trips on the road. So I say we stick to the plan, and whether the plan is doable, they'll find that out in years to come. And if they can't do it, if they can't follow that plan, that I didn't tell them to buy that property. That was speculative. Yeah.
Which was pie in the sky and is unproven, and then it's unproven. now.
The little picture.
It was a quid pro quo. We'll build renewable green energy and you let us do the bad nasty development. And now they're going to want to do the nasty development 14 years later, forget about renewable energy. So the main thing is to stop the development. Whether they build renewable energy or not is beside the point.
Exactly.
We want to stop the development on
Yes.
on a phosphate mine site, part of which is Superfund,
Yeah.
all of which has probably got radioactive phosphate waste. And we know all about what that means and what it involves.
Is that so?
Okay,
Yes.
so this is the president of the DECF. This is Karen Maholsky. This is George Newman.
Hi.
Okay, and we'll obviously be meeting outside of this. We'll
Sure.
spend a lot of time because this is exactly what we want to do. And it's in our county, it's in our area.
This is.
Okay, but I cannot give you more than a half an hour of this
Okay.
meeting.
Well, I think
This is just the start.
this was good. This was great. I appreciate the time, really.
Is there any other questions?
Yeah,
He does.
we do.
She's got.
Yvette's passing it around. I think she is. Is she?
Do you have a petition for us to sign tonight?
I have a petition.
You can pass that around.
Okay, yeah.
With our meeting and we'll pass that around.
Okay, great.
I just have a question here. Is there any liability to these companies if someone does build on this property and it turns out that they get cancer or whatever?
I'll guarantee you they'll make sure they don't have it. Trust me, this is what I did for a living.
Probably, yeah.
Go ahead.
So that exact situation happened near Orlando, very wealthy area, and multiple lawyers were up there. I can find out the update, but it was a phosphate mine. A lot of people got sick. Very wealthy attorney sued. What you do is you have to prove that the soil is causing it, everything, and it's hard to do.
Drilling program to establish what's there.
Everybody to find some honest and reputable solar energy sources. Everybody that's trying to sell it to you
Yeah, but the problem with any renewable energy facility, because that means you're selling electricity, right? If you say renewable energy, you are selling power, and you're selling power to TECO. TECO does not have to take the power. There is no standard offer number 4 as there was in California in the 80s. They will not buy your power. This is what happened with Enron. This is how I fired the chairman of TECO when we had 2 billion of this crap, and I told him what trouble we're in. Okay. They will not buy the power. You'll build the plant and they will not come to buy the electricity. They'll let you go bankrupt and buy the plant from you for 10 cents on the dollar. Way to go, TECO. This is all bullshit.
Anytime you talk renewable energy, somebody's in there trying to get their hands on it.
Yeah, but if you don't have the ability to sell it to utility and they don't want it unless they own it, because that's what's going on with TECO right here, my old alma mater. They own solar. They do not want rooftop solar. They do not want microgrids. They only want it if they own it. They have a pilot program in Hillsborough that if they put the solar on your house, they own that on your house. Okay. And they cut you in on the deal, but you don't own it. They own it. That is the IOU, investor owned utility model. It's all about monopoly. Okay. My whole career was busting the monopoly, and you had to force them to do it against their will. And the minute there wasn't the political will to force them to buy power under a long-term contract, it's called otherwise merchant power, meaning you build it and hope they will come. That's what Enron was. It all blew up, and it blew up here with TECO for 2 billion, and I brought the friggin' house down.
Did you want to talk, Kenny? Did you want to talk, Kenny?
No, it doesn't do the rooms. I like to know who the planning department is for Hillsborough County that does all the planning work that says, oh yeah, you can put 500 houses on that 1 acre plot of land. I mean, that's what they do. They work the roads, they work the estimates, and every one of them, and the guy at the top in that department is the one that signs them all off. He's the one that stands in front of your county commissioners and says, here you go. We decided that this is okay. You can build those 500 homes on 1 acre.
Kimberly Overman would know she was there. They're not there now. The only one that's there now for the current planning board under the BOCC under the recuse is Pat Kemp, unless Karen can jump in.
Let Karen jump in. Here, Karen.
Hang on, Karen.
So in charge of the planning commission, it used to be Beth. I can't remember her last name. It used to be Beth. I can't remember her last name. I am. Yeah, I don't think it works. Oh, I thought you wanted me to scream in for them. I'm like, this is weird. Okay. For the planning commission, it was Beth. She retired and it's somebody new. How everything kind of works is, are we live on Zoom? Or we're live on Zoom, we're not live on Facebook. Okay, want to make sure. How everything works is who used to be Mike Merle? Does anyone know Mike Merle? He used to be the county supervisor. He used to basically be in control of everything, and he would stop everything. Everything is written in the county code comprehensive plan to either stop development, or you can pull lines out to allow development, and you just have to know which ones to use, because when we were a Democratic majority, they had a stop, they did a moratorium, and they were able to control growth. When there's not, then everything gets pushed through unless there is massive community outreach. And it has to be massive, not just Democrats. It has to be Republicans, because the Republican people in office have to feel threatened that they're going to get primaried. That's the biggest thing. They don't want to be primaried, then they have to spend money. So with that aside, your question was, how does it all work? So there's a lot of pressure by the worker bees to push stuff through. They can know that it's wrong and they're forced to push it through. Find something in the code to do it. You always can find a previous one to challenge them, and then you have to challenge them. And my best thing is when with the worker bees, you're nice. You want to be nice. Hey, how are, is this? You try to be nice. The other thing too is everything that you write to the county is then public record. It will be part of the case. If each of you email regarding this, and we have to get the current one, you email, you can go into Optics, which I go into Optics. It's the database. Go in there and you should see your email. If your email's not there, that means somebody's not uploading it. What's the benefit if it doesn't get upload? If it doesn't get upload, the county commissioners don't know how many people are really outreach doing it. The bad thing about the whole thing, when it does, well, with the planning commission, it's not so bad. There's not a time limit if it's at the planning commission stage. Everyone can go, everyone can speak up, and there's not a time limit for it. When you go to the quasi judicial at the BOCC, Board of County Commissioners, it's only 15 minutes. That's all that is given. So you have to get all your testimony in ahead of time, and you really need to have just pretty much one spokesperson. The lawyers, even though it's supposed to be official and everyone takes an oath, I have done it for many years. The lawyers will bold-faced lie about stuff. And it's just unfortunate. What you can do when stuff is happening, and that I have done, is when something isn't right, you can go to the side, go to the county attorney and tell them, and put the county attorney on spot. And the county attorney, if it's two of them, were really good and they would interject and they would stop. Everyone else won't. If somebody on the BOCC does not ask a specific question, is this legal? Then the attorneys will not speak up. It's
Commission asks.
right.
You can't ask the county attorney. They work for the commission, even though we pay their salary.
Right.
They don't answer your question. The
Right.
commission has to ask them a question.
Right. The commissioners. And when it's the BOCC and it's at that stage, you can't engage with a commissioner because it is, it's not too late. They can't comment on it. You can't engage with them, whatever, because it's quasi judicial. You just can't. So you only can.
Allocate so much time and that's it.
No, you can't engage with them prior. You can't write an email to them complaining about something. It's not permitted to the commissioners. When it's when it's at the zoning master. If it's at the planning commission changes the comprehensive plan. That's at the biggest stage where it's unlimited. People can go to the 18th floor and make them stay forever. The best is to get them ahead of time, and to get them ahead of time to engage with all of them. And you engage with them on different things. You engage with the water guy on the water impact, how it's going to impact his department, how it's going to impact his budget. You engage with all of them individually for their reason, and then you put pressure on them. You just constantly hound them, it's just pestering.
Saying long-term development plan meeting, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
If that's related to this, well, they're gonna tell everybody, this might be the meetings he's referring to. They're gonna just run it through. Here we go. Thank you. Bye. Because there's signs on Lithium Pinecrest and Bloomingdale saying there's a Valrico long-term land use development. There's a meeting coming. They're advertising it.
Right.
My experience with writing to county commissioners, because it's quite easy to do. But my experience with it is they very conveniently pass it off to some county official who responds to you. And of course, you've accomplished nothing. They're just going to tell you what the party line is.
And
It's
you know,
not a pathetic, I mean, the whole system is.
if the planning commission or the staff finds problems with a case and they recommend to the commission, well, there's problems with this, instead of denying it, so that they kill the case. They remand it, and there's a wink that they make with the staff. Work with the applicant, see if you can make this work. So it's not even like they'll deny cases if they're not right. They'll send it back to the staff with a hint. See if you can make this work, which means the staff better bend because the commission's saying to them, make it work. Bring it back to me and I'll approve it.
Where do we jam the gears and break the system? Where's the weak point? You know, I've heard you say, make sure that they feel there's threats from Republicans that are their primary them if they go along with this shit. Enough Republicans say, I don't want this in my backyard. The wonderful thing about NIMBY is it works. I got NIMBY. I was in a geothermal plant in California for 3 years, brought back from long calls. And I literally had to face neighborhood meetings in which they almost had torches and pitchforks. They came with bottles of water saying, our water is contaminated from your geothermal facility. Drink this water, Mr. Morgan. I mean, literally. Okay. So NIMBY works. Fear and getting people, that's part of what you're going through here. It's NIMBY.
So the big thing is who's running for the current state seat, who's running for the congressional seat to make this bigger issue, and then you're putting it out there since it's a campaign year. The other is you know, what is the chemical issues, and I can look at some of the documents and to find out. Then you start, you know, it's really media. You start putting signs up of, you know, anyone who's running in there, you put a sign of, you know, radioactive, you know, will you pass radioactive? You try to get in on all of as many country radio stations, you know, you know, you get on there and say, hey, you know, have you heard about this? I seen this. I don't understand this. Do you? And you just play dumb and see if you see if they're, you know, what they're going to say about it. And then you start saying, hey, I heard so-and-so talk about someone at church who got cancer. Is this why they got cancer?
Now, let me explain something. Let me say something. Let me say something. Our coalition, it took me 3 weeks. Our coalition, we asked to meet with Mike Owen, who's in our district. That's District 4. He's got Energy Industrial Park in his district. So then I get a call 3 weeks later, and I was sending emails, calling. We want to set up a meeting with him, our coalition. So the aide says to me, well, the commissioner is willing to meet you, but you have to agree to, I'm going to give you a disclaimer and you have to agree, and then you'll be allowed to meet with him. I said, okay, what do I have to agree to? She says, the commissioner usually doesn't like to meet with constituents if he hasn't decided yet. So if, see, it should work in a reverse, that you meet first. So she says, but he doesn't want people asking him if he's just, you know, what his decision is or what it's going to be. So he'll meet with you if you agree. I said, well, I guess I'll agree, but we can say what we want though. Yes, but don't ask him what his opinion is. So he's going to sit there, I guess, and we're going to say, we don't like this for this reason, dioxane, it's poison, it's in the aquifer, whatever. But I thought it was interesting that it should be the reverse. He'll meet with you because he hasn't decided yet. No, he usually doesn't meet with anybody because he's got to be decided already.
Rule number 1 of Wall Street. I was a managing director at JP Morgan Chase. Rule number 1 is never play the game by the other guy's rules. He's telling you you're going to play the game by his rules. You've lost already because he's going to set it so that you can say whatever you want. Ain't going to matter. He sets the rules. This is where James T. Kirk comes in. the no-win scenario, the Kobayashi Maru, okay, he cheated. He reprogrammed the computer and blew up the Romulans in the neutral zone, and Spock accused him of being a cheat. He said, no, I just refused to lose. He did not play the game by the other guy's rules that are designed to make you lose. I'm serious. That is how Wall Street works. Okay. And we, the dumb clucks, are the OPM, the other people's money that they pass from one hand to the other, and they take a cut way through without risking their principal. We have to break those rules. Where do we become the fly in the ointment, the stick in the cog that stops the machine? And she was giving us that somehow you got to make them feel pain that scares the crap out of them. They ain't scared about you coming and bitching to them when you've signed a disclaimer, because the rules are already set. Okay. You have got to break the cog in the machine that scares the piss out of them, because now it's your rules, or at least not their rules. And that's what I'm saying.
Move it along.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is more important than the usual crap we do in these meetings.
All right.
Hillsborough County is to stand up against lobby money in Congress.
That's right.
That's what's controlling the whole damn country.
Yeah.
Lobbyists. And I'm not talking about people lobbyists who go in and represent people's concerns. I'm talking about money. And Wall Street, of course, is one of the big ones. And there are many others as well, the health insurance companies and so on down the line.
I agree. Yeah,
Yep.
appreciate you and I are on board.
Allows
I lived
corporate
it.
money lobbying, and it's to our detriment, and it's not gonna change until we get rid of that.
Well,
So,
we have to
I just have a,
kind of do, and that's us here now.
Yep.
Yeah.
so I have a couple
Okay, we
questions.
Our meeting. He's
Yep.
right. I
I just have a couple quick comments and questions. What is EIP? Is EIP the company? Okay, and Energy Industrial Park to deny EIPs, and what is this right here? EIPs. So an energy industrial park cannot be residential. That means they want to switch it from an EIP to residential. We'll have to look into that.
Since before 2010, since 2004, they've always come back with, couldn't we do residential? The
Right.
existing commissions always reject.
Right. Okay. So, right. Yep. So let's just move on from that. So I'm just going to, just to be quick, since you guys want to move on. So I'll tell you the reasons why this isn't a good petition. Okay. The reasons why this isn't a good petition is you cannot stop development. It's a state law for traffic. What are they going to do? They're just going to build more roads. That is not, you cannot. It is literally a policy that the Republicans put through, that you cannot stop development for traffic. What you can do is for safety. Yeah, it does. It says you have a couple of these for roads. You're having the small roads. You're going to increase traffic. You can't. That automatically is going to get discredited. These are the things that you can. You can do it for ambulances, for your time, for safety. That's what you can do. But probably it's not going to be affected that much. So, so line one, they had the, the energy source. It's a good reason for these energy sources. I wouldn't agree to a good reason because you're always opening up. The creating over a phosphate mine. So they're wanting to repurpose a phosphate mine for an energy. The current plan states the collector roads, the parcels along the roads, and this is all kind of road related. So you're not going to really have anything. And then you're saying never been evaluated for new identified contaminants. So that's not a good thing with the new identified contaminants. A couple of reasons. The new identified contaminants is going to mean that are emerging, which means that the original owner is not responsible for it. You don't want to say an accident. Any kind of mosaic having their sinkhole is not an accident. It's an expected occurrence, anticipated event. All of these are legacy. These aren't emerging, they're legacy. They were there before, they were there now. And these are really good words to use. Yes, we can. So you know, this right here, you know, you have to just be a lot more powerful with the reasons why you don't want the residential and not to approve it.
Environmental Caucus. And this club will be kept informed when it's time to bring them in to help, whatever individual tactics are. But we got to get our arms around it. We got to do our research, okay? And
let us know
put
when
together a
public
game
meetings are,
plan.
so we
And then
can
when
go
it's,
to the
when you
public.
need bodies to apply to the specific pressure points, to put the stick in the cog or the fly in the ointment, then we come back to this club.
Right.
I
You need
told you
bodies
tonight,
and
we get
you need
started.
emails.
That's all we've done tonight. We got started.
We need a lot of bodies. It's
Bodies
like,
and
we have a few
emails.
people working on
Okay,
this. Yes, we
thank
have-
you, and thank you for coming. This is right up our alley. This is exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah, I've done, I'll go look into it. I'm gonna have to, I gotta let you go.
Are you,
Yes.
are you going?
Pardon?
Are you running?
Am I running? Running for what?
No, it's
Oh, you're leaving.
not going home. She came here from work.
Oh, yes, yes.
I want to
Change.
trade in.
Yeah.
She'll do that beside you. Okay, so we can move on now.
So what you can do in the interim for somebody is to start looking into in this area, find all of your events that are happening, any sort of event, any bakery, any farmers markets. That's where you go and you start educating. But you can't do traffic. You have to do, these are legacy chemicals. This is a Superfund site. You want this Superfund site? What is going to happen? They're going to be bringing in water and sewer. How is that water and sewer? Are they drilling a well? Meaning, is this outside of the urban service area and they're gonna have to drill it's gonna affect everything. Where's the local water? That's what you want to be thinking of. People don't want to have the idea of contamination in the backyard. Where's all the strawberry farmers? Where's all the farmers around us? How are they gonna be affected? And then what is going to happen if this is connected to the aquifer and our aquifer gets connected? It's really a big, big thing. But somebody start looking all of the events for this rest of the year, all the local events in that area. How did it?
The other thing I would say, you might want to go back to the beginning of Dover Trail, which is right across the street. That's all part of Mosaic, all of that land on the south and on north side of 60. When we first started over there, all it was sticks and garbage and stuff. It was terrible. We turned it into a beautiful set of trails for recreational users. A field in the back for soccer players, you know, so it's a great complex, but that was just as bad as where you see across the street. So you might want to look into that and see what they did. I can't remember that far back, but it's been a while. I'm gonna go 25, 30 years.
So Vicki, you're part of this too, because you've got the part of the history here.
Yeah, and that was all discussed on that, when that was first brought in.
All right, we're gonna put together a group that's gonna be involved in this with the people that have different pieces of it. And that's where I can help, because that's what I was a project manager. That's what Oppenheimer did. He wasn't the best physicist, but he knew how to put together and running. That's what he did. That's what we have to do here.
You just made.
You can't keep that sector.
Oh, no.
I would think this is-
All right, I'm gonna keep going. All right, I'm gonna ask, now we're going to go into our usual reports, which won't take more than a minute or two. Treasurer's report and the secretary's report. Would you pass this down, Janet?
You want to give the
Oh, you want the report? I was,
Sorry, now we're back.
and we're back from Wall Street. You need to explain your crimes on Wall Street.
Yeah.
Okay, our balance as of today is $1,802.91. And I got some money from people here today for the spring fling. We have we bought 5 seats for $750. We're selling them for $75. So far, we've got, yeah, he's already paid. You paid and one other person, yeah.
Right, so we got
One left.
Wonderful. Now, you,
And
did that $100 check clear? It shouldn't have been stale. It was less than a year, so I think we're okay. Remember the
oh, yeah,
$100
yeah,
check?
yeah. No, that was
That
okay.
cleared? Good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Janet, it's your turn.
Okay, the minutes were approved at the board meeting.
That's it? Okay, that's fine. So, all right.
I'm
so
informative.
Now, I screwed up. And I'm happy to admit when I screwed up. That's all right. Angela's online. Well, it's muted. That's all right. I mean, she's listening. All right. So
here.
I forgot. I literally. Yeah, she's here. Hi. And I was so busy when he called me. I was doing errands. I rushed home. I unloaded to get here. I forgot to print out 20 ballots. We are here to vote tonight for the re-election of Chris Radelich as vice president and Walt Seeley as treasurer. And I forgot the bloody written ballots. So yeah, I screwed up. So I'm sorry. So how are we going to do this? We going to cheat and just do it by hand? It won't be a secret ballot or? All right. All right. All right. All right. I have the third time now. I'm asking, is anybody here in person that's a paid up member for 2024? If you're not dues current, you don't get to do this. That wants to run or propose someone else to run for the office of vice president? I'm asking you now, speak forever or hold your peace. If you want Chris's job, now's where you put your hand up. No, well, I got to ask. Okay, that's in our bylaws. Seriously. All right. So, all right, fine. So, since there's no opposition, I'm just going to say, fine. He's elected by acclamation because there's nobody running against him. Right? Everybody approve? Aye. There you go. Congratulations. See, that was easy. Okay, now I have to do the same thing. Walt Seeley is our treasurer. He's agreed to run for re-election. This is the third meeting. I have to ask, is anybody here that wants to either propose someone else or run themselves as candidate for treasurer? Now it's say so, or you just, that's it. We're done. No hands, nobody takers, nobody wants his job. All right, done. Therefore, by acclamation, let's vote for our treasurer to be here for another term, Walt Seeley. Congratulations, Walt. I won't even ask for nays. They don't count. They're not here. There, we're done. Sorry. I know this is not as formal as you want, Vicky. Yeah, I screwed up. I'm sorry. I know, and you should. You should. You do a good job there. Counts lie elsewhere. I haven't been on the news feeds once today. I've been sending out one email with my DRM red italic commentary on why I'm pissed off about the news story, which is what I do if you're unfortunate enough to be in my email stream or my text stream. Okay. The Empowerment Fair, which was March the 2nd, it was sponsored by Rudina and Russ Miller. I believe it was a great success. It was a prototype event, happened to just be East Hillsborough. And I think it went very well. And I'm going to let Rudina sum it up. And then when she sums it up, now how are we going to duplicate it and how and when and follow through? Now that we've done our part, we can relax. Now she's going to hand the torch to somebody else in the county.
Thank you, East Hillsborough, for participating in the Voter Empowerment Fun Fair. That was the official name of what we did on March 2nd. And it was great. East Hillsborough had a tent. Democratic Women's Club had a tent. We had 6 caucuses that had tents. And it was an It was an opportunity to interact and visit in a way that we don't usually get a chance to do. You know, when we have our 2 big fundraisers every year with the Hillsborough County Dems, you know, it's a more formal event and you don't see a lot of intermixing. You see groups sitting at the same table and talking to each other, which is great, but you don't, it was the first time I had met some of the caucus people that are always in the gallery in our big meetings when we do a Zoom. So it was lovely. The weather was great. We had trainings. It was wonderful. Yes. And there was so much food. We gave some of the leftover food to migrants, which was a wonderful opportunity. We had a whole platter of sandwiches that wasn't even touched that we sent over through a representative of the Democratic Women's Club who took them. And so we know that they went to a good cause.
So it was great. And there will be others. Each region is supposed to have their own. So if you want to experience one, keep watching Mobilize, look for the opportunities to go. Right. So thank you, East Hillsborough, for participating. So now we spent this entire meeting talking about something that had enormous impact for the environment in Hillsborough County. Do you think this kind of discussion would go on in a Republican group? Why? Why? Do they care the same way we do about our environment? They care about money, they care about votes, they care about influence. We are so special in so many ways as Democrats because we do care. We care about our schools, we care about our environment, we care about so many things that the other side of the aisle glosses over with all kinds of silliness that comes down to control, total control. We are a big tent organization. And if we are going to stay influential, we have to get more Democrats elected. That's what it comes down to. We have to get more Democrats in every layer of our legislative system here in Florida, in the country. And if we don't, we're acquiescing to being controlled. Raise your hand high if you like being controlled. I see no hands waving. That's not, oh, you do. Okay, let's talk about that. So here's the deal, guys. I know that there's a big social overlay to historically to what this club does, and that's wonderful. But you're affiliated with a club that has the word Democrat in it. You could be doing social stuff with classic cars, with trail riding groups, with all kinds of other things socially, but you chose a group that has the word Democrat in it. Why? Why is that important? Why is it important to any of you? Yeah, exactly. So if we're to remain viable as Democrats, we have to get our act together and we have to get more Democrats elected. Every one of you cares enough to be here, to be affiliated with this club. This is not the women's auxiliary. This is not a lot of other things that it could be, but this is a Democratic club. Yes, Mary.
Donald Trump said that yesterday. He said it yesterday on Squawk Box, on CNBC Squawk Box. Yesterday, he went on and said, yes, there's opportunity to cut Social Security. Yes, there's opportunity to cut Medicare. He came out and said it yesterday.
Yeah. Well, yes. As long as there's mutual respect, as long as there isn't the belief that it's a tug of war and it's me or you. But if it's me and you and we can negotiate something that we both can live with, then it's win-win. And that's the Democrat way. The Republican way is to draw a line in the sand and have a tug of war. and whoever gets pulled over the line loses. So, right.
Never, ever, ever tried to overwin a deal that the guy on the other side of the table never wanted to see your face again on the other side of the table. You always gotta let the other guy know that he got something, and at a minimum, for God's sakes, respect them, treat them as you want to be treated. It's the old golden rule. That is not what the Republican Party is about. That's called owning the libs.
What, Walt, do you want to say something?
Every time the Republicans have control, everything goes the way of big business. Trump, the first thing he did in 2017 was pass the tax rate.
That's it.
He gave pass the tax rate.
Yep.
And go back to Reagan, who was big in W-2, they were into what do you call privatization.
Yep.
About everything, and they would privatize Social Security if they could do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They got rid of the civil service program, retirement program, and
Post office. Yep.
the other thing I think we are keenly aware of as Democrats, and I don't know if any of you picked up on it, but there's an awful lot of bad feeling in Washington regarding this situation in Gaza.
Yes.
And as myself included, that we're sending money, and these poor people are getting help on that debate. And it's as you've seen, you don't have to look very far on the news.
Yeah.
Students, people walking out, and worldwide protests, and
Yeah.
Democrats are taking some heat.
Well, and yet. Exactly. So let me kind of segue with what Mary is saying, because the reason I'm up here is I want to empower all of you to get into our volunteer army. You care enough to be in this club. Hopefully you care enough to do something to help get Democrats elected. Is there anybody who doesn't care if Democrats get elected? Okay. So if you care enough to want to get Democrats elected, I'm going to assume that you care enough to do something to help make that happen. I'm not asking you to write big checks. I'm not asking you to go out every door knocking opportunity there is. I'm asking you, each and every one of you, to do something. So here's what we're going to do. To start with, I'm going to ask all of you to get an action ID so that you are able to do canvassing if you want to do phone banking, to do those things that we do in order to create momentum, to get more Democrats elected, to get more Democrats to register to vote, to get more Democrats to renew their vote by mail status, because these are all essential parts of getting more Democrats elected.
That ID recognizes that you are such a and will allow you to access multitude of ways that you can train yourself in one tiny aspect of the many scope of things that he is referring to. It all starts with being recognized as an individual to the party by your action ID. That's why you need it's like your social security number for the Hillsborough County Democratic Party.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the explanation. I'm not going to ask anybody to sign away their life savings to me with their action ID. What I am going to ask, though, is that you all take out your smartphones. Everybody take out your smartphones. And I have a 2-page instruction on how to get an action ID, but there's a QR code on the second page that makes it so easy. So I'm going to ask you all, unless you have an action ID already, to take out, I know you've got one, Rob. You've got one. Wonderful. Wonderful. So send these around. I'd like everybody to have access to the QR code. And it will take you 2 minutes. The QR code will ask you 2 things: to put your email and create a passcode. Now, the first page of this 2-page thing has a place where you can write in your email and you can write in your passcode so you don't forget it. I keep mine in my phone under my contacts so that if I'm out in the field somewhere and I have an opportunity to do something, I can access my Action ID password without having to trouble my poor little brain about it. So, does everybody have one of the papers? Yeah. Okay. So take out your phone, access the site with your phone with the QR code, and follow the very simple directions. Yes. Do you share an email account? Yeah, yeah, in case you're not, in case you both want to participate.
Some actually just turn your camera and you use your camera the QR code and then it just skips the step and goes right to where the QR code tells you to.
So tell me if you have any challenges with this. It should be easy breezy, but I'm here to help if you get stuck. And Rob is here too. Rob has just become a trainer. Yes. That's it. But write it down so that you don't forget it, because I have a million passwords and they're not all the same. Yeah, your million passwords. And I love the ones that make you keep changing them. Oh no, I can't use this one anymore. Yeah. Do you have one, Susan? You're not doing this. Hi. You got him to do it.
As I see her here, those don't look like it.
Mm. And absolutely. Wow. Look at this group. Look at you guys. You're doing it. You're doing it. Does that make me Yoda? I don't know. Yes, that's yours forever and always. Is there anybody who's having a challenge that needs a little bit of help? Get it done, Walt? Oh, no. Oh, no. So why are you here? I'm crushed. I am crushed. So you don't care if this whole world is run by Republicans, huh? Yeah, you don't have to do camp. This also gets you into phone banking, texting. What are you willing to do? Let me ask you that. Okay. Well, good luck with that. Yeah, right. I don't eat meat, but thanks. All right. Anybody still needing time? You're successful. Yes. You're onto the, okay, what happened? What happened? How did he get stuck? It went away. Rob, can you help him? Yeah. By the way, Rob McCain right here is a trainer, and you're going to be seeing him more and more. Let me just do one more thing. So I know that many of you, hey guys, hello. I know that many of you may not be comfortable or accustomed to doing canvassing. That's fine. Phone banking is often easier for many. So I'm going to send around a sheet. If phone banking is something that you are willing to at least get some training on, give me your name and contact information. I'll make sure you get trained, and I'll get you started. You can do it in your own time. You do have to observe some reasonable hours though, because when you're making phone calls, somebody may answer and you don't want to be calling way early in the morning or later at night, because that's not respectful. But other than that, you can do it from your own home on the weekends. You know, it's a very easy breezy thing. So let me know if you're willing to do some phone banking training, and I will make sure you get some phone banking training and maybe get started on being able to do some phone banking. Right now, we've got a phone bank for registered Democrats 65 years and older who are not registered for vote by mail. Why? Why had we called them out? Because they're a group that is a pretty reliable group for us to depend on as voters. And vote by mail is statistically more reliable in getting people to vote than just being registered to vote and counting on folks to show up. So we want that little insurance policy of having them registered or enrolled in vote by mail. So we're targeting them. And it's a phone bank. You can leave a message. If they don't answer the phone, I don't answer the phone if I don't see the name. I don't answer the phone if I don't see an ID that I recognize. And I think a lot of other people do that too, but you can leave a message. All right. I'm be here if anybody is needing help with this action ID. Thank you for doing it, because it's a first step in being available, and there is no pound of flesh that we're going to be collecting from you. You may get a phone call or a request or a text. Hey, would you be interested in? You can say no. That's fine. Yes, Pat. My name is Rudina, Rudina, Richter, Richter. I am the regional director for Region 5, which is the part of Hillsborough County that we're in. And I'm with the Hillsborough County Democratic, it's HCDEC, Hillsborough County Democrat Executive Committee, but it's the Hillsborough Democratic Organization. Yeah, yeah, everybody's a little, so we have regional, we have the president and her staff, then we have regional directors, all volunteers. And under the regional directors, we have district leaders, and under the district leaders, we have precinct captains. Every one of us is a volunteer. Yeah.
You know, we keep getting all kinds of emails and phone calls and mails to donate money.
Yep.
Where, at what level do you think we should donate money? To local candidates?
Mm.
Or top candidates?
That's an excellent question, and a lot of it will depend on your priorities, the size of your discretionary spending checkbook. If there's somebody, you know, like Mark Kelly, I really wanted to see him get reelected. I don't live in his state. I don't even live in this part of the country, but I sent a few dollars to him. Not a lot, but a few dollars here and there adds up. It depends on you. Of course, there is no. Mm.
Outside of the state is progressive.
Mhm.
Yes. That's just me. And you can be different. Yeah, and it's whatever you want to spend your limited resources on. There's no wrong answer.
That's a lot of it. What? I'm sorry. Wasted. I define wasted. I mean, if somebody's got a big war chest and you're just a penny in a big war chest, well, maybe they don't need it as much. On the other hand, if the last election cycle somebody lost by 5 votes and they're running again, and you want that person to win, it might be worth sending them $5 in order to see if they can win this time around. So
That's his loyalties and mutual interlock relationships. That doesn't do like this for you. So once again, you decide where you want it to go.
and the reality is that we don't have right now in the state, we don't have a very broad bench. You know, we have had one person try to unseat Marco Rubio, and she did not prevail. We didn't have a huge number of people who were in contention for trying to represent the Democrats in that contest. So we need a broader bench, but to get that, you have to start at the bottom and build up. You have to have people in the lower rungs getting elected so that they're getting mentored and able to move up to a next step to a next step. So, you know, it's sometimes it's a strategy, sometimes it's a preference, sometimes you just like somebody, you know, totally up to you. All right.
Already.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't, you know, I put a budget on my monthly, and 98% of it in the state of Florida. Like, once you know, for a while there, I supported John Fetterman because I have connections in Pennsylvania, and I think he's a pretty forthwith guy that's intimidating to a lot of people, you know, and like Frost here, right here in Orange County.
Yep.
Another great guy that needs Gen Z, young, you know, he's creative.
Yeah.
And he works only off of donations. He takes no PAC. So when I look at something and it says, I have a PAC here, I don't donate.
Yeah.
I only donate to your campaign. If you don't want to send your information to me and your campaign, then you don't need my money that bad.
Well, I love that we're having this discussion. Keep having these discussions. And thank you. And I'm turning the mic over because there is another possible speaker here.
No, thank you for having me. Good evening, everybody. My name is Tyrell Hicks, and I'm a candidate for District 68 for state representative. So District 68 is all of Northeast Hillsborough County. So if you look down on a map from Parsons to Lithia Pinecrest Road, all of everything northeast of that is District 68. The current representative is Lawrence McClure, the radioactive road sponsor. And the reason I'm running is basically everything that you said, all of the stuff, everything that's wrong with the state. The state should be better. There's no reason for them to continue passing all this regressive legislation, wasting our money, defending all these unconstitutional laws. The whole purpose of government should be to shield the populace, especially our weak and disenfranchised. And for some reason in the state of Florida, like they've lost sight of that, like they've forgotten that the power is derived from the people for the people. And they're using it for their corporations, the special interest, corporate special interests, who the guy I'm running against, like up and down, it's just PAC money. And for a district that has a median income of $60,000, like you shouldn't be able to raise $250,000 every 2 years, but that's what they do because the corporate lobbying system in the state of Florida is like super well entrenched. But we can do better, you know, like that's the thing. You said it, like if people show up, like people win. Maxwell Frost like is a perfect example of that. Like as long as the candidate shows up and the people support him or support them, we can have better. And like that's what I hope to see November, because I've got 3 kids and like I love my community and like all of them deserve better than what they currently have. Like they shouldn't like there shouldn't be people living in fear. Like there shouldn't be people living paycheck to paycheck. And like the 3rd most powerful state in the nation, right? We are better than this. And we just have to prove it, right? Because currently our representation isn't up to snuff. But they are our representatives and we have the power to remove them and replace them. We just have to do it. So thank you. It's great seeing people show up like this and hearing the voices and that people care because like we have to care because like there's so many people who just don't. And even though like they don't care, like they still deserve better also. And those are the ones we got to remember also. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am. So I'm an MPA. I'm no party affiliation. And that's kind of like a weird thing. The Republicans have made the rules really difficult, especially when it comes to running for office. So like last year, they changed the qualification rules. So I can't change my party affiliation until after I'm elected come November. So November 6th, I'll be able to change my party. But until then, I'll be an MPA who caucuses with the Democrats. My big things are education and the environment. So George, I would love to talk to you shortly after this because the Superfund sites stuff is crazy. The fact that like they're allowed to just turn over polluted and toxic land back to the citizens and then abuse that in place is ridiculous. So we got to show up. I'm here. Nobody wants to run against a lot of these guys. But it doesn't cost much, you know, to send 2 pieces of paper up to the state and say that we want better. And like, that's all it takes. Like, is if you tell your friends that like there's somebody out there who cares for the state and wants the communities to have better, like we can continue with that telephone game until like the change happens. We just did it with Amendment 4. For those of you who don't know, reproductive freedom is on the ballot. So yes to Amendment 4. Like that was a game of of telephone, right? Like we literally just did that to empowerment of our future, and we can do that across all facets of our legislative structure. Like you talking to your friend and them talking to their friend, like does make change. So you can follow the campaign at tyrellhicks.com. I'm an MPA candidate. You can feel free to reach out. I show up at events. You don't see that from a lot of people. McClure won't be here to talk to anybody. I want to hear from you. So if you have questions, you want to know about my platform or what I stand for, I just want better. But No, I'm the only, I'm it. It's me or McClure. Right, yeah, it should be. TyrellHicks.com. So super easy first name. I wear this shirt everywhere. So if you see me, I'm gonna be in this. Because like I said, like we deserve better. So like come November, like it's important that we have everybody show up. Like it can't be said enough. And I'm not asking for money because like that's not what I'm here for. I just need people to be there for the vote. You know, I was a Marine for just under 20 years. So I'm planning on knocking on a lot of doors. My winning number is like 31,000. I've met probably about a quarter of that. I'm not sure if they all like me, but I'm going to keep going. So eventually, if I can meet all 109,000 people that are voters in my district, you know, I'm sure that at least half of them want better. And you know, that's a really great start. And like I said, I'm really happy that to see these events, because when some of the groups that I go see, they're not as active, and there's not as many people as this. So to see this inside the district is really empowering. So please keep it up. I know it sucks a whole lot, and like it's dark out there, but it also like events like this are little shining lights to make it better. So Parsons down to Lithia Pinecrest Road, everything northeast of that stays in Hillsborough County. So up to Polk or up to Pasco and all the way to Polk. But it's only Hillsborough County. So Dover, Seffner, North Lithia, East Valrico. Not for me, no, sir. But actually, if you're west of there, that'll be 69, I think. And I think the current candidate is Harrison Lundy, Gen Z kid, super awesome. If you're west of me, it's Harrison Lundy, and I'm not sure if he still has a campaign, but if he does, like definitely vote for him because he's super awesome guy. Harrison Lundy. Yes, ma'am. He's a Democrat. Like I said, Gen Z candidate, really intelligent, cares. He's like been super proactive in the activist scene. So please vote for him if you can't vote for me. Absolutely. And yeah, any other questions? No, thank you all for your time. It's well, so I'll definitely I'll get the endorsement. Yeah, I'll have the endorsement once come June. So then I can't actually be on the circuit. I'm not. It's not official. I can't talk to Democrats because I'm MPA or however the rules are weird, whatever. But come November, I'll have their endorsement. So then you'll start hearing and seeing about me because like it's me or nobody. Thank you again. And also, if you have any questions, like I'm here. I want to hear what you guys have the issues, because my issues are my kids in the environment, but I want to make sure that like everybody's issues matter, because I'm not affected by the homeowners insurance issues and all that stuff, but a lot of people in my community are, and I care about that, right? So you guys, a lot of you are probably in my community, being the East Hillsborough Democratic Club. So your issues are my issues. So
Do you think you need to do based on what you said? One, make sure you exchange contact information with Georgia.
Yep.
Number two, go on the Hillsborough County Democratic Environmental Caucus. Florida, it's $10 for membership.
Yep.
It's 10, that was.
we've already spoken. I was two weeks ago. I spur at the March 2nd. Yeah.
This one and whatever else is going on, if that's where you're interested
No.
in, she's the person that you want to make sure you get to.
Yep, she's already supposed to be sending me. I'm supposed to be on the mailing list and all that stuff already. I spoke at the event on the 2nd. Yeah. So yes, it was. I was there. Yes, ma'am. So thank you all. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with this. I'll close it up.
Yeah. Thank you, Tyrell. All right. Is anybody else got anything they'd like to talk about? Well, Angela's still on the line. No, that's true. What is it? Oh, yes. I definitely need a couple. I need Yeah, I do. I do. Me, I'm gonna stick my hand up, yell loudly.
Yes.
I know I never do.
How many you want?
Three.
The current guy.
What date is
Kids,
it?
my kids love this stuff.
1, 2, 3. and
What
this is
dates
for
are they?
these two, $3 off. What would you like?
Definitely.
You want 5? Really?
When is it?
The last one is on the 31st of this month. It's every weekend until the 31st.
Can't do it.
You got 3 more weekends. Thank you. You got 1, 2, 3.
Okay, where is this?
In Dade City, at their festival.
This doesn't say.
They play in all the parks. Those straight, it's creepy, like walking around, cause I live right on 39, Hills, what is it, Alphias River Park, down off 39, down south.
Great. All right, I guess that's it. I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Angela, for bearing with us all night. I want to thank
Well, thank
everybody.
you.
And we do definitely have 2 book speakers for next month. And I do believe they're both going to show up. One is Rocky Brancato, who was speaking at our picnic last year. He is one of 2 candidates going for. Yeah, I will. He's running for public defender. And I've also got Sonia Brookins' daughter, Star Brookins, who's running for county judge in the 14th circuit. Yeah, group 14. And they will both be speaking here next April. And also we have our picnic coming up in early May 4th, Saturday, May the 4th. Obviously, we'll be talking a lot more about that next month. Thank you all. Thank you for coming. We'll see you next month. Signing off. This is Reed Morgan. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Anybody wants to say?